Welcome back, week 6 of Run Club. I don't know if you know this, but we are halfway through our first quarter together. And the first quarter has been all about God's faithfulness. Last week, we looked at the people being led out of Egyptian slavery, and we learned that God is faithful to deliver. This week, we are looking at this whole concept that God is faithful to establish. I don't know about you if you've ever had to reestablish yourself in a place, maybe a new job, or you go off to college and it's all these new people trying to find your way. I know for us and our family in 2014, we moved from our home in Illinois, born and raised there. All of our family around us, we were the first ones to really leave and go out to Oregon and to do ministry out there. And I will say that was a lesson in being reestablished. The first year that we were out there was really exciting. All the new people to meet, all the new places to see, things to experience. But then year 2 came around and we kind of recognized that, hey, hang on, wait a minute. Our family is still doing their holiday celebrations without us. And we're having to figure out what new traditions look like for us and our own family. We're having to reestablish friends. Just really challenging that year 2 was. And by year 3, we started to maybe feel a little bit more at home and feel established. Maybe you've been through a season like that. Um, that's where we kind of pick up the story. The people have been led out of Egypt, and then they're having to establish themselves as God's people and establish themselves in every single way. If we remember, they were captive. They didn't have probably leaders among them. They just took orders from others. And so they were having to do the hard work of establishing their societal norms, their government, who they were, and the God that they worshiped, and how they were going to go about that. And I almost think that Moses' task to establish the people may have been a little bit harder than actually leading them out of Egypt. It's really hard to stick with it through seasons of establishment. And we see this when a couple months in, Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, comes to visit Moses. He brings his wife and his 2 sons, and they all hear this story of grand deliverance and celebrate together. And then in the next day, Jethro wakes up and he goes out and he sees what Moses is doing on a day-to-day basis. Moses is hearing all these disputes from all these people. Think of people just lined up for days, going to Moses, getting advice on how they should handle their disputes among each other, from great to small. And Jethro looks at this and just says, this is not good. It's not good. You're going to wear yourself out, Moses, and you're wearing the people out. You need to develop some leaders, choose some leaders among you who will help you. And so Moses takes him at his word and does just that. They select some leaders, but these leaders now need some guidelines in order to rule and to know what Moses knows. And this sets into motion a leadership structure. And Moses begins to seek the Lord upon the mountain. This is where we get the 10 Commandments, and then further explanation about how those are to be lived out. Kind of think of it as establishing the Constitution, but not made by man, made by God. And as you read through the law over the next several weeks together, don't get bogged down in all of the laws or all of the worship regulations and how everything looks, and don't get bogged down in that. Really use this time as a time to remember that God is establishing who he is among these people, what he is doing, and who they are to be, and how they are supposed to live. They're being established. And I think of that even when I look to our own faith. Paul had helped to plant a church in Philippi. He writes this letter to the Philippians, and he talks to them about how he's so thankful for them and the faith that had begun in them. And I don't know about you, if you remember back to the time when you first believed, you first became a Christian, you first felt free of all of the sin and the shame. It's a very exciting time. But then after that comes this time of establishment in our own lives. And Paul gives this word in Philippians chapter 1, verse 6. He says, I am certain that God who began the good work within you will continue his work until it is finally finished on the day when Christ Jesus returns. So as you read through all of these laws and you see the people following God and not following God, remember our own hearts, that the work that God has started in you, he is faithful to complete it. He is establishing a home in your heart as you learn to continue to follow him daily. Establishing is not easy work, but God is faithful to establish us in him. Have a great week. One more thing, I did want to let you know we have missed meeting together. And I really hope that you come out this weekend. We are doing our Love to Serve weekend. And we are going to be serving together on Sunday, packing food that gets sent out to Guatemala, a way that we can join God in what he is doing throughout the world. So I hope you've signed up. Make sure that you get signed up using the link. I'll make sure that that's in the comments of this video. Also, we wanted to add another gathering for us to worship together. We've missed being able to be together over the last couple of weeks with all the snowstorms and everything going on. So I hope you join us at 5 on Saturday, where we're going to kick off a time of just worship and just kick off our Love to Serve weekend together. There's worship for adults and for kids. I really am excited to see you this weekend. Have a great week.